Hello everyone, I'm Rick Jenkins, the publisher of SC Biz News, the media company that serves about 100,000 high-level business executives throughout South Carolina. Welcome to SC Biz TV, and welcome to another episode in our ongoing video series, Coffee With. Today I'm having coffee with Jody Gallagher. Jody is the longtime CEO at AFL. They're the telecommunications service provider that has locations across the United States, Mexico, Canada, Europe, Asia, South Pacific. These guys are everywhere. But the cool thing is, they're headquartered right here in the upstate in Duncan, which is up in Spartanburg County, of course. AFL is a big deal, and Jody Gallagher is a big deal, and I'm honored that he is sitting here in our studio. Jody, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Rick. Thanks for having me.
It is good to see you. We were talking just before we came in here. You just got off an airplane. You came in from Japan, a 12-hour flight, wearing your mask. You got to be dead tired, and you showed up in our studio.
Yeah, I was always good to be back at home. First time I've been to Japan in 2 years due to the COVID pandemic.
Right.
And it was definitely a different sort of travel experience because of mask wearing and testing requirements.
Right.
A little stressful, but I'm glad I'm home.
Yeah, I can imagine. You told me a little bit about that, and it does sound stressful. Before you came in here, I was thinking about to the last time that I talked to you. And it's actually it was September of 2020, the last time you and I talked. Hard to believe it's been that long ago. But we were right here in this studio, and we were doing another video series that we do called 120 Seconds, of course. And that's where I talk to a CEO like yourself and ask as many questions as I can in those 2 minutes. And we had a little bit of fun with that. But I remember in that conversation that at that point, you were going to Japan fairly often.
Once a month.
Once a month.
That's right.
That's often, right? That's a lot to go to Japan.
That's right.
Tokyo,
yeah.
Going to Tokyo.
Fujikura, our parent company, is headquartered in Tokyo, so I'd always go to Tokyo. I'm on their board of directors.
Yeah.
And Japanese companies typically have board meetings every month.
Oh, goodness.
And that's the reason for the frequent travel over.
And they will not let you attend a board meeting via Zoom?
Well, we just figured that we can do it that way. The pandemic has...
they made you understood you can.
We can.
Right.
So I will not have to go every month anymore, which is a great thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And also 2 years ago, I remember talking to you, and you told me how good the sushi was over there, which of course makes sense. Grab that every now and then.
Food's good.
Yeah, I bet it is. You are from the Northeast. You're from New Jersey, as I recall. You went to a college in upstate New York, and then that Northeast boy came down to the Southeast. What brought you down here?
Good memory, Rick. So I went to school in upstate New York, a little college called Clarkson.
Yeah.
Always thought I'd stay up in the Northeast. Had an opportunity to go to grad school in Texas,
Yeah.
in Austin, and that was my first experience coming south. Warm weather, nice climate, pretty girls. I was like, this isn't a bad place to be.
That's right.
And I've been fortunate to spend the last 30-plus years southwest, southeast, and have called Greenville home now for over 20 years.
When you went to college, Clarkson?
Clarkson.
When you went to Clarkson, I believe you went there to play hockey.
I did.
Yeah? See, I got a memory.
Yeah.
And that didn't quite work out for you like you had hoped.
That's right.
But you went to play hockey, and they've also got a cross-country ski team or something up there, and I asked you, you never went skiing.
No,
I wasn't
a skier back then. You weren't allowed to when you played. If you played a sport like that,
of course not,
because of injuries and stuff, you get hurt. So you weren't allowed to do any of that. But I haven't been on skates in a long time. I did think I had a chance to play professional hockey. That didn't work out, but this also worked out pretty well too.
This did work out pretty well. You have been at AFL for 30 years, and if I remember right, you've been the CEO for 22?
17 years.
17.
No, you're right. 20 years. 20 years now.
See, I was closer than he was.
That's right, 17 years.
All right. So you have been there a long time. You've seen a lot. You have overseen 30 mergers or more.
Right.
Right? Tons.
Right.
Sum up that 3 decades for me.
It's gone by fast. It really has. When you're in the middle of it, you don't think it's going fast. But I have some friends in the company that are just starting to retire.
Yeah.
And it sort of hits you. When I took over, we were a relatively small company.
Right.
We were struggling. We'd just come out of the .com bubble.
Yeah.
We were kind of a rudderless ship.
Yeah.
And my job was to try and put the thing together again. Hopefully package it up and sell the company. And then, here we are today.
Right.
and it's been an incredible ride. Been fortunate to work with some great people, and fortunate to call the Upstate my home.
You know, well, first of all, AFL, America Fujikara Limited, is
Right.
that correct?
That's
and
right.
Fujikara, of course, is the parent company. Under your umbrella, under the AFL umbrella, you've got about, what, 300 companies that exist under that in some way?
Right. Various entities. That's right.
Right. $2 billion company?
Roughly. That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So your job is a pretty big one.
We cover it. We cover a lot, and we're in an incredible set of technologies and customers.
Right.
We're seeing the demand continuing to increase.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of our challenges.
That's right. We will, and I want to talk about technology too in a second. But first, I've heard you once. I asked you to give me your. I said, can you give me an elevator speech on AFL in a couple sentences? Because I knew all about AFL and I'd read about you guys and I went to your website and everything. But for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to sum up AFL and all of its gazillion parts and thousands of employees in a few sentences. But you did, and this is what you said: AFL designs, engineers, and sometimes installs optical solutions for customers such as Verizon, AT&T, Charter, power utility companies, and the like. Basically, we provide solutions, products, and services around the world. Now, that is a daggone good elevator speech.
You got it.
That's good, man.
I'm not changing it.
I don't blame you. That's perfect. Let's talk about the products that you offer.
So most of the products that we offer are optical based.
Yeah.
So optics provide high speed, reliable, highly secure communications. We all, whether you see it or not, we're all using optics today. Whether it's in the internet, your cell phone, we're all connected through optics. And the demand, you want it faster. You've got streaming services, so the demand and the appetite for faster speeds is what our business is about. What we do is we try and take the optics, miniaturize it, ruggedize it, and being able for customers to be able to rapidly install it.
Once you told me about, and I don't know, again, this has been 2 years ago now, or almost 2 years, so I don't know if it's outdated or not, but at the time, you told me about the largest cable that you had that was an inch in diameter that had over 6,000 fiber optic cables inside that, or fiber optic pieces
Correct.
Inside that. Is that still the mother of your fiber optic cables?
We've got one that's bigger. It's not commercially available today.
Yeah.
We've got to go through quite a bit of testing. When we spoke about that was a relatively new product.
Yeah.
We were selling it in small pieces. Today, it's almost a 7,000 fiber cable, relatively small in diameter, and we can't make enough of it today.
I bet. And what do you use that cable for? I mean, what do businesses use it for?
So the large customer, the customers that would use that the most, is the interconnect between these large data centers.
Mm-hmm.
Google, Amazon,
Right.
Microsoft, cloud-based companies
Right.
that have large data center rooms that are connecting these data centers for security and reliability and high-speed traffic.
Got it. Business is booming, as I understand it.
Okay.
It's okay. It's better than okay. Tell me, define.
I never want to say it's too good. You got
No.
to be careful with that.
I hear you. You don't want to jinx yourself,
That's
but
right.
define booming for me.
Well, we've gone through several expansions recently, and what we're finding is those expansions weren't big enough.
Mm.
So
when you say expansion, do you mean at the Duncan plant?
Yes,
Right.
yes. So about a year and a half ago, we expanded into a much larger facility, huge capital investment on long lead time equipment. We're bringing that up. That's not going to be sufficient enough. On the trip to Japan, just got approval on another large facility in Duncan for further expansion. We just moved into a large facility in Mexico a year ago. We're already out of space. So the demand for what we do is challenging, but we're seeing a lot of success by being supported by our customers.
How many square feet did you have in Duncan, and how many do you have now? How
So-
big was that expansion?
So the Duncan one that we added a year plus ago, that was about 300,000 square feet, and we're going to move into another facility of about 500,000 square feet. In total, we'll have about 1.5 million square feet under roof in Duncan.
And how many employees are up there?
Well over 1,000.
Over 1,000, and this might be an old number, but I remember at one point seeing that you all had about 6,000 employees.
Correct.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
What about under your purview? I mean,
so AFL is about 6,000.
Okay, all right.
So
AFL itself. Okay.
So under me is about
All right.
6,000. Fujikura is probably, I honestly, I'm not really sure, Rick, but it's an order of magnitude, maybe 60,000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're roughly a third of Fujikura's total business.
What else does Fujikura do?
They're into three main segments. Automotive business, so they got a large business in automotive. We're not part of that. That's non-optical. They're in electronic components, so they make a lot of components for iPhones and products like that. And then the telecom business, and we're part of the big telecom business they have.
Let's talk about the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This has impacted you all, and when it first, when they first began talking about it, I wouldn't have thought that this would have impacted you. Of course, they wound up expanding it and adding some additional pieces to it, which of course did impact you. But the way it began, it was initially an infrastructure package for highways and rail programs and things like that. But at some point before it was approved, and I think it was only approved 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. Before it was approved, they added a pretty significant piece to it. And let's see, we're talking, oh goodness, it was $65 billion that was basically funding for broadband access expansion.
That's right.
How was that impacted you all?
That's huge. The money hasn't been released yet. It'll be released to the states, and then the states will control that. So that's how that's going to work. At least that's how we think it's going to work. So there's such a gap for into the rural area. Rural communities have very little broadband access today. That's really the intent. You're seeing remote learning, work from home has become a much bigger thing due to COVID. Right. That's not going away.
Right.
Some of these small areas, affordable living, people need to have high-speed internet access in order to, it's a utility today. That's what that basic bill is. So that will drive a lot of spending. It'll be the large companies and it'll be small companies that will participate in this, and we'll be a provider of products and services for that, for the infrastructure.
When will you begin seeing that impact?
My guess is we'll start to see some money late this year. Most of it will really start flowing in 23 and beyond.
23 is going to be a good year for you.
That's why we're already talking about further expansions. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. That's the good part, but you also have challenges. We always have challenges. And there are two things that I'm assuming are a big challenge for you. And one is workforce, right? That's a challenge for all of us. And then the other is supply chain distribution issues that manufacturers and suppliers throughout the country are experiencing. But let's start with workforce. You talked about just a second ago, you mentioned working from home, working remote, hybrid situations. So two things then is tell me how you all are doing that, how you're handling that at AFL, and then what are the challenges of just getting folks to work?
Yeah, so the workforce challenge and the changes in sort of the workforce dynamics is a very real issue that we're faced with. Look back a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic, we were 100% work in office. Okay, and that's where my head was. It was like, we all got to be together, got to be in the office, got to be together in these buildings. We sent everybody off once the pandemic, and when we shut down our offices and all, and we found we could work remotely. Maybe you lose a little bit. That went on for a long period of time, longer than people probably realized. So what we've just brought people back into the offices in March, and we've started with a hybrid schedule. Essentially, it's 3 days in, 2 days out, is what we've started with. There's probably some flexibility for that, and I hope that all works out. That's what people want. That's what people, is important. I understand that, and we've tried to accommodate that while also trying to maintain the business and keep the business running.
I hear you, Jody. A couple years ago when this all started, I was that traditional guy that that accepted this stomping my feet, right? Thinking, you can't do this. You got to be in the office.
Yeah.
We can't. But we all learn. We learn that you can. We learn that you can. You're right. We lose a little bit, but But we've been out of the office ever since. We've been working remote ever since all this began, and you learn and you figure it out, right?
I'm a big proponent of it now.
Yeah, I am too.
It's important to our people. It's helped in our recruiting.
Yep.
And I think it'll be with us for a long time.
I think it will. I mean, you can make an argument, and I was talking to Herb Dew, who is the CEO of Human Technologies, HTI, in here the other day. We were talking about these exact same types of issues, and he seems to think that, this is here to stay. We might as well get used to it. Employees have that leverage now. They want to be able to have that flexibility, and as employers, we have to accommodate.
That's right.
How is it getting new employees? You having trouble, man? Unemployment is so low.
That's an understatement. Yeah, it's a challenge, and our turnover's gone up like a lot of other companies. So that's problematic. But there's a lot of job opportunities for people. We'll probably have the most difficult time filling jobs for our manufacturing workforce. We can get them in, and then there's turnover because they have another opportunity. And even as we've increased wages and things like that, some of that is due to shift schedule because we operate 24 hours, around the clock. So some of that's due to shifts as you put people on shifts. On the professional ranks, it's a little bit hit or miss. Definitely the turnover has increased for a variety of reasons. Quality of life, flexibility, other factors. Pay is probably on some of that. But we've had to modify and adapt to attract talent because as we've grown, we need to hire more people. Last year we hired over 1,000 people. Here, not just here, but a lot in here. We probably hired 500 a year.
Wow,
a lot of people.
Wow, in 1 year, 500 people into your Duncan location.
A lot of people.
My goodness. Supply chain disruption. How much disruption have you had?
It's awful. And the so-called experts say it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
There's no easy solution because we go to our major suppliers, try and negotiate supply agreements, long-term commitments, but they have suppliers. All right, so you cascade that down through the entire supply chain. If one thing breaks or if one thing is disrupted, you're missing a screw. Guess what? You can't finish the assembly on a product. So it manifests. It's where it is. There's a constant challenge of we don't know what we're going to get, how much we're going to get, and when we're going to get it. Even from our top tier suppliers,
right?
We're all faced with this instability. And my word is the supply chain's broke.
Yeah, I hear you, and I've heard a lot of people say just about those same things. It's got to be frustrating for someone like you where you're sitting there overseeing a company where business is booming. You got, all of this money that is going to be injected into this industry that's going to help you grow even more, and then you have these deterrents to your growth, like workforce issues and supply chain. It's got to make you pull your hair out. It
does. Whatever I have left, it does. It does. But business is all about solving problems too.
Yeah.
As I've said to people, business right now is good. I'd rather be solving these kinds of problems than when business is bad and having to solve those.
Yeah.
We'll work our way through this stuff.
I'm sure you will. It's a good way to look at it. Let's look into your crystal ball. Things are great right now. What do you see in a few years? What do you see for Jody Gallagher in a few years? And then AFL.
Well, I can't talk about myself and what my future plans are, but I'm really happy doing what I'm doing. The company, I'm excited about where the company is positioned. Certainly for the next couple of years, we see strong fundamentals in our business. When fiber to the home and some of these large investments start to wane off, there's going to be a growth in 5G.
Yeah.
Infrastructure for wireless, the next technology for wireless, that'll be very significant. Beyond that, my crystal ball doesn't go out that far.
Well, Jody, I appreciate you joining me. As always, a good conversation. I enjoyed having you here. Thanks for stopping by, and I know you need to get home and recuperate from that long plane ride, right?
Well, thank you for having me, Rick. It's always a pleasure to see you. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir. Folks, that is Jody Gallagher. He is the CEO at AFL, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Coffee With. I meant to mention this right up front, but this was our 30th episode. Congrats. You were our number 30 interview.
Number 30.
Number
right.
30, man. Good to have you.
Thank you.
So anyway, stick around on SC Biz TV, see if there's anything else you'd like to watch, and we will see you next time.